Good luck, everyone. Okay, I'm sending the links. Yep. Yeah, I'm doing the same. Oh, okay. I'm doing it on the other chats. Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Oh, I'm hyped, bro. I love this
same,
track.
same too. I'm ready. Okay, let's post it in UDL General.
Just tell me whenever you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UDL F1 League Austrian Grand Prix. This is the 9th round of the season. I am one of your commentators, Mr. Damage, along with Jonathan. How are you doing today, Jonathan?
I am doing great, and I'm ready for a great day of racing here.
Oh, man, this is one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. My second favorite track on the calendar. And this is going to be a fun race to watch.
Yeah, it's looking to be possibly one of the races of the year. Everybody has great pace here, and I feel like the top 10 is going to be extremely close.
And to put emphasis on that best race of the year, we have had some amazing races this year.
Canada was incredible.
Last week at France, great race. Canada, great race. Monaco, great race. Those are the three that I've already streamed, and I'm ready for this one to be the best one yet.
Same here, man. I think our viewers are going to be in for a treat here today.
So we have a few team changes here. So Boknos has moved from the Ferrari team to the Mercedes team. So he will be going from the second seat in the Ferrari to Pecan to maybe the first seat in Mercedes. That'll be a good pairing between Duck and Boknos.
Yeah,
some
and
good points hauls
and TTV's taking over the seat in Ferrari, with Pecan still maintaining that first driver position. That team's going to start looking very strong because TTV is a quick driver.
Yep, and that's exactly what we'll be looking for here, is see how TTV does in today's qualifying session. This first race back in F1, I believe.
Yeah, and this might be a really good change for Ferrari because they are losing out in the Constructors' Championship right now to Red Bull with 179 points. Ferrari only has 150 right now, so they do need to use this driver change to their advantage to catch up in the points.
Yeah, and here's an update on the drivers' point standings before we get in too far into this. So Pecan 36 is at the top of the driver's standings with 108 points. But Sniper Pig, who will not be with us for qualifying, he will only make the race, he is right behind him at 104 points. And Apex Glide, another driver that's not going to be here, he's going to miss both sessions. He's at 73 points, P3 in the driver's standings. And then we have Greco, P4 in driver standings with 71, and Sinister, 5th with 49.
All right, we have our first few drivers setting laps here. Vortex Killer takes an early lead with a 105.288.
It's a pretty good lap around here. These guys are looking to get some good bank laps in, try to get some experience on the track with the conditions that we have out here.
Yeah,
for these drivers.
I was lucky enough to sit in on practice earlier, and they were setting some pretty quick laps in the low 105s for many of them, so I think anybody really has a chance to win here.
TTV comes across the line to set a 105.044 to put himself on provisional pole in that Ferrari. So a good start for the new Ferrari driver here.
Yeah, Ferrari's got to be really happy with that result.
It's always nice to have two drivers that are very quick at the front of the field to be able to get as many points as possible. McLaren have had a great points draw as well as Red Bull because they have two very good drivers on both of those teams. Let's get that money and run. Puts in his first lap of the session with a 105.6. Puts himself up into P3 so far.
Top 5 separated within 0.8 of each other.
This is going to be a very close qualifying session. Everybody, pull your pants up, put your belt on.
I wouldn't be
tie
surprised.
Those drawstrings.
I honestly would not be surprised to see the top 10 within a second of each other.
So, I wasn't in that practice session. Who all was in it, and who seemed to be the quickest drivers?
So, it was Pecan, Vortex, Sinister Owl, a Breezy who is not participating tonight, and I want to say one other. I do not remember. But Vortex was the fastest of the session in that practice session. So I think he might be looking to keep that momentum from practice. And
Greco sets a 104.753 to put himself on provisional pole for McLaren on his second lap on these soft tires. So that's a first time into the 104s, and I fully expect pole position to be at the mid to low 104s, around a 104.3 to a 104.2.
Definitely.
Maybe even a 103.9 if one of these drivers gets all of these corners correct. There's only 10 of them, so they have to make the most of every corner on this circuit.
And there are a few very tricky corners to get right and get that pace out, especially turn 2. That hairpin is very important to get a good run out.
Turn 3, by the way.
Sorry.
Yeah, the kink right before is classified as turn 2 for some reason.
I did not know that.
But, I mean, turn 1 is a very tough turn to get correct. Turn 3 is also very tough. Turns 4 and 5, tough. Turn 6 and 7, the exit of turn 6, it's very easy to get on the gravel on the exit. So that's definitely something we need to watch out for in the race and in qualifying here. As Dahl is coming around turn 10 now to set his first flying lap of the session. Turns 9 and 10 are very easy to overdo and go off track as Dahl puts himself into P8 with a 106.2.
So one thing that should be said is we do have a newcomer in here for this weekend with Kimmy as God. It'll be interesting to see what he can pull out this weekend. Maybe he can put a good showing for his first entrance into the UDL.
Pecan puts in his first flying lap of the session and goes 105.1. So he will be put into P3 for the time being. So Ferrari, P2 and P3, a good showing already for qualifying.
Yeah, McLaren's going to definitely be pushing to gain those top 2 positions, though, and they do have the pace to do it. Get the money and run definitely has the pace to keep up with his teammate Greco. And
Kimi knocks those 2 Ferraris off of the front row as he puts in a 104.9 for his first flying lap of the session. It's a great lap from him to put himself on the provisional front row.
Especially in his rookie race.
Yeah, first race out, and he's already showing everybody, hey, I've got what it takes.
That's the way to do it in this league. If you have that pace, show it.
Absolutely, as Pecan peels off into the pit lane. And it looks like Vortex is coming around to start a flying lap, as well as Greco, who just started his out lap. So we'll see how these drivers are doing. Space just finished the first sector. He was 3/10 down on his previous first sector time. Let's see if he can pull it together a little bit here in the middle sector. He is 1.8 seconds down on his middle sector, so this will not be a good flying lap. Williams is right behind him with Kimmy, and Kimmy might be putting in yet another flying lap. No, he is not. He peels off into the pit lane. Vortex coming up to turn 3 now. That hairpin is so hard to get right. It's very hard to clip that apex correctly, as we also have a Renault right behind him of Bossman, who is on his outlap. As Drew is in the wall down at turn 9, so like I've been saying,
backwards to the pit lane,
and he resets onto the track right in front of some drivers. So that's definitely going to be something to be protested, and maybe even a penalty might be given out for that. That is 100% against rules of the league.
Not to mention that was his teammate as well.
Yeah, that was really bad for them, as Sinister pops in his first flying lap on those soft tires and goes P5 with a 105.1. Vortex crossed the line to put in his second flying lap, but it is not any faster. So Sinister will hold on to that P5 for now, but I know these drivers right behind him are going to be looking to take it away. As Get That Money and Run finishes a flying lap, but it is slower by a few tenths.
Currently, so the top 9 drivers are separated within a second of each other.
Very, very close qualifying session here. So this is definitely a good showing here by all these drivers here in the top 10. And this is one of those tracks where really anybody who qualifies in that top 10, and even drivers outside of it, can get on that podium or even win the race.
Yes. This track is very good for passing, so even if you're outside of that top 10, you still have that chance to gain those positions.
Sinister is in the wall in Sector 3 at turn 9 as well. So there's multiple drivers having issues at turn 9. You see he comes into the pit lane.
Oh, a little bit of a backup coming out of the pits with Pecan and TTV. And a Renault of, I think, Masashiro, yes.
We have a little bit of contact between the Racing Point of Maida and the Williams of Dollar. Dollar's on his outlap, and he's holding up Maida quite a bit here, as Maida actually spins out in turn 8. So he's not going to be very happy with Dollar for holding him up there on his flying lap. That's definitely going to cost Maida, as he was up a couple of tenths.
No, that could also be reported to the stewards, the fact that he was holding up in qualifying, so.
That's definitely not going to be good for him, as CKT comes across the line to set his second flying lap of the session, but stays in P17.
And it is official. The top 10 are all within a second of each other, as Bossman sets a 105.704.
We have the two Mercedes coming across the line now. Boknos and Duck. Duck just started his first flying lap, and Boknos is right behind him. He was 6 seconds off there, so I'm sure there's a little bit of tactics going on.
Definitely a very late in the qualifying session to go for your first flying lap.
Well, he could have had some invalidated, so that's always something that could have happened.
Recco pulls into the pits.
Dollar has put himself up into P8 with a 105.4, as the two Ferraris had a little bit of tactics of their own. Pecan was given a tow by TTV, and it looks like Pecan is aborting his lap, so TTV backed out of his lap to allow Pecan to get a good lap in, and now they're both in the pit lane.
Niall looking to set another quick lap here.
As we have Duck coming across the line now, he puts himself into P12 with a 105.7. So top 12 drivers here all separated by 1 second. Great qualifying session here. It's very close, especially in that midfield battle.
Look at the gaps between Dollar and Bokonos, as well as Bossman and Duck. Those gaps are incredibly close.
We also have a very close gap between Pecan and Sinister Owl in P4 and P5. Only around 16 thousandths of a second between those two drivers.
This is shaping up to be an incredible race.
As is every Austrian GP. I don't think I've ever watched an Austrian GP that wasn't good, have you?
No. Not that I can think of.
I mean, this track just produces such good racing, as Sinister is 2/10 up on his personal best time. He's just finished the second sector. He's going into turn 9 now. Swings it into that apex. This is one of the toughest corners on the track in 6th gear. Backs it down to 4th gear for the final corner. Comes out of there, opens up his DRS. Let's see what he can do. He goes a 105.1. So he will put himself up into P4 ahead of Pecan. So it's still a close gap between those two, but Sinister squeaks up into P4 instead of P5.
Quite a variety in the top 5.
Yeah, we have 4 different teams in the top 5 positions.
Ferrari has to be pretty happy with that result right now. With two drivers in the top 5.
Absolutely, and we also have 2 McLarens in the top 10, 2 Williams in the top 10, and Renault's, both of them are in the top 11 here. So very close between all of the constructors contenders here.
And we've been talking about people within a second, but even down to 15th is within a second and a half of the pole position right now. So it's really anyone's race.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be a very close race. This is one of those tracks where almost everybody will have some pace. And so this is going to be a very fun qualifying session to watch, as well as the race, as we only have a minute and a half left in this qualifying session. So all these drivers will be going out now for their final laps. Yeah, both of the Ferraris, once again, nose to tail.
Yes, they have to have some sort of qualifying strategy with that. They've been doing it all qualifying session, and they don't seem to be stopping.
Bokonos puts himself into P5, so the ex-Ferrari driver shows his old Ferrari teammate, hey, I'm still here, buddy. Just because we're not on the same team anymore doesn't mean I don't exist. As TTV goes off track in turn 6 or turn 5, and he will be aborting that lap.
Pecan will be looking to get that top 5 again.
Pecan is 2.5 tenths up going into turn 9, swings it on in there, brings it out to the curbing, turns into the apex, comes across the curbing now. He opens up his DRS flap. Let's see what he can do. And he goes into P2, puts it on the front row, knocks Kimi off of that front row, and Greco puts in a better lap time of a 104.6 to extend his lead by another tenth out front.
Wow. That was a very action-packed 10 seconds.
Yes, it was. As TTV peels into the pit lane now, his qualifying session will be done. I don't know if Sinister will be able to make it to the line or not. He's got 6 seconds left to finish his outlap. No, he won't. So Sinister will not be able to get in his final flying lap. That will really be bad for his race.
Bokonos looking to improve.
Coming around the final corner now. Let's see if he can improve on his time any. He goes a little wide in the final corner, and no, he did not. He was 28 seconds off, so definitely not what he was looking for. We had another driver coming around the final corner. As Pecan's coming around the final corner now, let's see if he can improve any. Vortex, or no, that was CKT coming around the final corner. Pecan does not improve because of 105.5. Next across the line,
Kimmy.
I believe will be Kimmy. Kimmy coming into the final corner now. Let's see if he is up on his time. Goes a little wide in the final corner. Let's see what he can do here. And he goes 2/10 faster, but more importantly, it was invalidated. He went a 104.65. So that would have put him into the front row, but he was invalidated. So that really messes up his qualifying session there, as it looks like the rest of the drivers on track will be done with their laps. They have backed out. Massa, the last person to not be going, and he is clearly backed out, or he's doing some serious corner cutting tactics, one of the two. So that means that Greco will have pole position once again for the second week in a row here at the Austrian GP in the UDL F1 League with a 104.635, 2.5 tenths ahead of P2 Pecan with a 104.8. Kimmy, P3 with a 104.9, and TTV, P4. Sinister, P5. Boconos, P6. Vortex, P7. Bossman, P8. Get that money and run is in P9. Dollar, P10. The top 10 are separated by less than a second. P11, it's Real Space Hero. P12 is Duck. P13, Meta. P14 is Nile. P15, Massa. P16, Drew Yu. P17, everyone's favorite commentator, Spyro. And P18, rounding out the grid, will be CKT. And P19 will be Sniper Pig. I just forgot about it, Sniper Pig. And that Red Bull will be here for the race, but unfortunately missed out on qualifying.
I have to say, though, I feel like Sniper Pig has a good chance to come back from that. He has very, very good pace. So if anybody can pull back from last place and get into the points, it's him.
I mean, we saw Sinister do the exact same thing at Canada, went from plumb last in the field from being disqualified, P20 to P4.
Yes.
So Sinister showed it can be done. So I'm sure that quite a few other drivers have the capability to do it as well. And Sniper Pig is definitely one of those drivers.
All
Man,
right.
what a qualifying session. That was close.
Yes, it was. Within, what, I think 2 seconds between all the drivers.
It's
All right.
always nice to see the field as close as it is today.
Yes. Alright, so we will have a brief intermission while the lobby is restarted.
Going on a quick bathroom break.
Alright.
So I will be right back.
Okay, well, hopefully the lobby will be started up as soon as possible, and we can get right back into the action. I hope everyone is enjoying themselves. I know we are. Alrighty. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh man, I am ready. Are you ready?
I am definitely ready. This is shaping up to be an incredible race.
Because I've been busy all week getting ready for my trip to Europe next week. So I'm sorry about that. I'll try to this week. I don't know exactly if I'll be able to. I might be able to tonight, but we have the F2 race right after this one, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll interview myself. That might be a pretty good one.
And as far as the next, 3 weeks? I will be continuing on commentary with my F2 teammate and good friend, Laser Runner.
Yep, I will be gone for the next 3 races, so...
So if you want to keep up on the stream, go check out our other stream on my end.
I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat here.
Yes,
there you go. That's the link. His stream.
That is the official UDL League channel. So we will have streams on that every weekend from now on.
And as long as both of us are streaming, or as long as both of us are doing the commentary, both of us will be streaming. So you'll have my point of view and we'll have his. So you can double screen it and you can really watch this GP in all of its glory.
So, from qualifying, who is your prediction for top 3?
Ooh. See, you just had to mess with me. You had to say top 3. You couldn't just say, just a prediction for the winner. No. Top 3. Okay. So...
Gotta keep you on your toes.
I know his race pace is really good, so I predict that Greco will win the race unless he has more connection issues. I believe that in P2 will be... I believe P2 will be the Ferrari, not of Pecan, but of TTV. I believe TTV G-Men will get it into P2. And I believe in Sinister Owl. I believe he will be P3 and will round out that podium.
He is going to be looking to carry that momentum from the past 2 weeks, so I could see that. I'm going to agree with you on Greco. Okay. I think P2 we might have a surprise. I'm thinking Bognos might try and prove that he is the right fit for that top driver spot in Mercedes and put it on the podium. And then for third, I'm gonna say either Pecan or Sinister Owl, because Sinister Owl is gonna be pushing for that momentum that he's carried for the past couple weeks. And Pecan showed great pace in qualifying, so
I can't go against what you just said. I mean, all of these drivers here in this top 10 are so close. They're all closely matched in their qualifying times and in their race pace, as far as I know. I mean, anybody from this top 10 could realistically win this race.
I 100% agree.
And I mean, I do like your pick of Bognos. I believe he is on a revenge drive here today after the falling out he had at Ferrari with Mattia Binotto giving him the little giving him the sign and trade over to Mercedes.
Now, the question is, do we feel like that was the right choice for both him and TTV? I'm leaning towards I think it's best for both of them.
I believe so too. I know that a few people have told me that Bocanos wants to be a #1 driver, and quite frankly, who doesn't want to be the #1 driver? Being the #1 driver in your team is always that little bit better than just being on the team. So being the #1 driver and putting your foot down and knowing that all strategy will be centered around you is one of the best feelings you can have while racing in an F1 car.
I completely agree.
And so Bocanos made a great decision by leaving Ferrari, as Pecan was getting a little frustrated with Bocanos' recent results with the incidents that he has unfortunately been in. And so this means that...
I don't know. In my opinion, I'm not sure if it was frustration or more just they weren't connecting as well as teammates as they had hoped.
Yeah.
I don't see it as much as frustration as just lack of driver connection.
Yeah. And that can be, I mean, not having a teammate that you really can connect with very well is not exactly the most fun thing, because you have to sit there and talk to them throughout the entire race every single week.
Yes. Not to mention testing and figuring out your setup, stuff like that. And
so having a teammate that you can talk to every day, or at least every other day, and really bond with and practice together and really be with each other whenever things go south in races and whatnot. It's really a big help.
Yes.
I mean, it's really nice. I'm fortunate enough to have Apex as my teammate in F2, and he is a great teammate. He's anytime something happens, he's always very supportive in any motion. Where if I get pole, he's always really happy for me. If I have some sort of incident and I go down the field, he's there for me. And it's always nice to have somebody there that you know has your back.
I completely agree, and I 100% get where you're coming from. My teammate Laser Runner, we've been friends since high school. We graduated together, so we have a very strong bond as friends to begin with. So coming into racing, we know each other very well. We know how we want the car set up, and the chemistry there just works really well between us.
Yeah, and I mean, team chemistry is one of the biggest things in one of these leagues, because it's not like in F1 racing where you're by yourself the whole time except for your engineers. The only people we talk to are our teammates. So if we want to talk about strategy, it's just our teammates, because Jeff doesn't help you any. So you can talk about strategy, talk it over, figure out what you want to do with your teammate. And it's really nice to have a teammate that understands where you're coming from and is also just a great teammate to have.
I agree. So, that being said, when I'm going to make a formal announcement here, when the UDL decides to tackle the Le Mans 24, is it going to be me and you in the car? With that chemistry.
Well, let's be honest here. Let me think. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and hopefully yes. Is that a good answer?
That's the first official announcement. When the UDL goes to tackle the Le Mans 24, the first two drivers signed up in the team for the LMP1 are me and Damage.
Yeah. Disclaimer, I have never driven an LMP1 car before.
I got you.
So, a lot of practice on the wheel will be had.
Alright, so we should be getting started here soon.
Yeah, just waiting. Seems like we're having a little bit of a driver's meeting here and getting the grid reformed. There's a couple of grid penalties this week. I believe, is there only one? I'm not quite sure.
I think there's two.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly who, but
Bokonos has a 5-place grid penalty, and Masashiro has a 5-place, or no, that's a 5-second time penalty. That's my bad. So we only have one. We only have one grid penalty for this week.
Okay.
So that takes Bokonos from his great qualifying effort. Now he'd be the back of the top 10. Still in a great place for the race, but with how close this league is, it'll be very tough for him to overtake.
I do have to say, one wild card that I'm really gonna keep an eye on throughout this Grand Prix is Kimi is God. For his first showing in this league, that qualifying run was very impressive, and I feel like he's gonna be pushing that through the race.
Yeah, it's very nice to see that we have a new driver here that is already right on the marks. It's nice to have fresh blood that is on it. It's really good to have, and we'll see how his race pace is and how his racecraft is, and see what he can do. As his seat in Williams isn't permanent, as that is Breezy's seat, which will be taken over after Breezy's race penalty or race bans are served. So it looks like the lobby is getting formed and ready now.
It's about time. My suspense is just killing me.
I'm
after
ready
qualifying.
for this race. I'm ready for this race, and I'm ready for Monaco later.
I 100%
Cloudy
agree.
with a chance of meatballs on Monaco as well. So this is going to be a great race here.
So,
I can't wait.
You had a viewer talking about interviews, right?
Yes, I did.
So, if he's willing, we do have a driver in here that while we're waiting for this intermission, we could have a quick little interview to see how he's doing.
Spyro, wake up!
Oh, I was on my phone. I was like, oh, hang on.
Okay, Spyro, so you qualified... Where did you qualify? I don't even...
Second last.
Okay, so you're hoping to have some good race pace here out of P17.
Yeah,
how are you? How is your race pace feeling here?
Race pace. Well, I was only 2 seconds off, so it's not like it was embarrassing. It's just everybody has been two seconds off the front of the grid. It just turns out there was 13 other drivers in front of me that happened to do better, but you know, I think it'll be good for the front of the road. It gives it a bit more competition compared to having the same people at the front. So I think that top 10 from looking back up here should be interesting for the viewers to watch. But I'll probably start on the mediums and just try and get some longevity and hope for a safety car, and hopefully there's for my benefit, hopefully there's a couple of drivers that cause an incident and then I can maybe move up a few places.
Okay.
And we all know that turn 1 here is very tough, so be careful in turn 1, Spyro, and have fun, bud.
Yep. Thank you for the interview, man.
If you want to jump in through the race, I'll see if I'm available.
All right.
Okay, we can have a reporter. Oh boy.
That's it. Righto, boys. Take it easy.
Yep. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you. And the lobby is now loaded up. The drivers are connecting into the game here. Session will be starting in 25 seconds.
Oh, the suspense is killing me with this race. Everybody's extremely close, like Spyro said. The full grid is within 2 seconds of each other in qualifying, and I'm just ready to see how this race pans out.
This will definitely be one of the best races in the league history.
Oh,
I'm gonna go ahead and say
Greco
it now.
has left.
Greco already has had some connection issues here. So he will not be here for the start of this race, and so if he doesn't rejoin by the end of this formation lap, he'll either be retired automatically or we'll have to start from the pit lane. So big drama already for the start of this GP.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's... Greco's going to be struggling to get back in here, and he cannot be happy right now.
He's had connection issues before, but this one will really be setting him back here. As it's not even the start of the race yet, and he's already had a disconnection.
Alright, as our drivers are on our formation lap, I'm so excited for this race. The top 10 are so close, and anything can happen here.
I will say we actually have 2 late entries here. We have Impulse 4811 and the Toro Rosso, who missed qualifying but is here for the race, and Sniper Pig and the Red Bull. We'll be keeping an eye on him throughout the race to watch his drive through the field. See if we'll be starting in P19 after missing qualifying.
Sniper Pig has incredible pace, and I'd be very surprised if he did not continue that pace throughout this weekend.
I will 100% agree with you. If Greco didn't have so many connection issues, he would either be leading the championship or would be very close to leading. I 100% agree with that one, David. As all the drivers are in their grid slots, the lights are coming on now, and the lights are out, and away we go for this Austrian GP. Pecan gets a good start, but Kimi gets a better start as he looks to the outside. We have 3 wide going into turn 1 as the McLaren makes up a couple of positions there. Everybody fans out in the runoff area. I don't know if there was any incidents or not. It doesn't look like it. So here we have Kimi right on the diffuser of Pecan. He pulls to the inside. He's looking for a move, but he doesn't quite make it stick, as we have a few drivers in the middle of the top 10 here, side by side. The two Renaults trying to get a move on as Sinister is up into P7 here. Get that money and run with a great start, already up into P6. And Sinister is into the back of Get That Money and Run going into turn 5, and he loses part of his front wing. He misses his braking point, and that is Sinister with a broken right front end plate. That will hugely render him in this track.
Oh, and we got a pass on Dollar by Boknos, already up into P8.
And Dollar misses the apex, and Maida moves up into P9. Dollar's down into P10 here with Duck right on his diffuser, looking to make a move.
Kimi maintaining the separation between those 2 Ferraris.
As we watch the pack come down to the line, we have the Williams pulling out of Dollar, looking to make a move, and Dollar spins, and there's
contact.
a huge collision. The Alfa Romeo driver of Nile, one of the most unfortunate drivers in the league, has hit Dollar.
Oh, and more contact. 1. Impulse runs into the back of Masashiro, and then, he is rear-ended by
spins.
Nile.
So Impulse drops all the way down to last position. So huge order-shaking collisions there.
And Madia gets a little wide, hits the grass, and almost spins it into the wall.
Bossman makes an overtake stick in the second sector on Vortex, so he will be up into P4 with Vortex down into P5.
Those top three are just pulling away.
Yeah, those top three drivers already have a 1.5 second buffer to P4 Bossman. As DRS is now enabled, so we might have a pass for the lead here between Kimi and Pecan. Kimi looks to the right-hand side, going up into turn 3, and he will be looking to take this position, but he thinks better of it. He backs out of it.
That was very close, but it was a good move on Kimi's part. It's too early in the race to go for moves like that.
We have Dollar and Duck in the pit lane here. Very unfortunate, as well as Niall. So very unfortunate for those three drivers to have the damage they sustained here at the start of this GP. And Greco, you can see his name in the top right. He joined back in the session, but it was just too late. He will be a spectator for the rest of this session here. Unbelievable luck for him.
Kimi right on the diffuser of Pecan right now.
Kimi will be looking to pull out, going into turn 1. He's alongside. They're wheel to wheel going into turn 1.
Can he get it?
Looks like Kimi will take the position, but Pecan will be coming back at him with DRS here going up into turn 3. Let's see if he can make this move sick and get that P1 back. Pecan pulls to the inside of Kimi, and he will be ahead going into the corner. Let's see if he can outbrake Kimi, and it looks like he will. But
Kimi's coming back on it.
Back into P2, but Kimi pulls back to the inside, and we'll have DRS, so we'll have the inside for the next corner going into turn 5, and Kimi will pull back into the lead, and Kimi goes to the point here, lap 4 of this Austrian GP.
Incredible racing between those two. Kimi had a great strategy there.
Kimi did a great job of holding his position there as we have the Renault and the Haas of Bossman and Vortex. They were very close, but Vortex got a little bit dirty air and kind of washed out a bit. Something I will say is Bokanos is on the medium compound tire, and he qualified in the top 10. So unless he qualified on those medium tires, he might end up getting a severe penalty here as he goes wide in the final corner, which will allow Sinister to get by him here. Sinister will be on the inside for turn 1, and he will have that move done going to turn 1. So Sinister will be up to P7 now. Move our attention back into the
Vortex going for a pass on Bossman. He backs out of it.
Get that money and run is right there on him as Vortex loses the rear end on the exit, and Get that money and run will steal away that 5th position from Vortex. It might even take 4th here. He looks to the inside but thinks better of it. As Pecan and Kimi are side by side here in the middle sector. Pecan will be going to the inside in this double left-hander. Kimi will be trying to take it all the way around the outside. They're still wheel to wheel going through this middle sector.
Wow, great racing at the top, within the top 10 right now.
Pecan will take back over that leading position. So these two drivers are really battling it out here.
You got to remember, Kimi will be getting DRS right now, so he will be looking to get that position back.
So he will be. It looks like he'll just tuck in and wait for turn 3. A wise decision from him, as we have a few drivers coming out of the pit lane that had damage. We have Niall right in front of these guys as Kimi pulls to the inside. He will have the inside line going into turn 3. Let's see if he can make the move stick once again. Pecan outbreaks him a little bit,
but he does it.
Still wheel to wheel. And let's see who has DRS here. Pecan has DRS, so Pecan will be coming back at him on the outside. And it looks like Pecan might get this move done, and yes, he does. So Pecan keeps that 1st position. But all this battling these guys are doing has let Bossman right into this battle.
Oh, Vortex makes a pass on Get That Money and Run. But they are wheel to wheel. They're going to be
side by side here in the middle sector as we see Niall getting out of the way of these guys. They're still wheel to wheel going through the middle sector, and it looks like Vortex might be able to go all the way around the outside, and it looks like they made a little bit of contact, but they're still wheel to wheel here. Vortex on the inside, and he succumbs to Get That Money and Run, and Get That Money and Run will be in P5 once again. See, we have Kimi.
Top 4 within a second of each other right now.
Yeah, the top 4 is separated by a singular second. These drivers will really be looking to pounce here as Kimi looks to the inside once again going into turn 3, but thinks better of it. The other Ferrari of TTV has a little look as well, but won't quite have it happen as Vortex and Get That Money and Run are still battling for position in P4 and P5. Sinister makes him, Sinister and Boconos paddling for P7 here. Looks like Sinister might hold on to it for now as we go back up to the lead.
Oh, and Kimi gets the pass done.
Battle. Kimi will move up into P1 once again. Pecan down into P2. These drivers are fighting tooth and nail every lap for the lead of this GP.
That's what we like to see here.
Wow, what a good battle here is the
Boss
second
man
Ferrari.
Just holding back slightly on these top 3, just waiting for any sort of little mistake with these drivers racing as hard as they are.
These drivers, that second Ferrari of TTV will be looking to try to get past Pecan if he thinks he has a better pace, as Pecan will be going for yet another overtake. Kimi goes defensive, covers the inside line.
Sniper
Pecan
Pig
swoops right around the outside.
Sniper Pig is up to P9 already, and he's right behind Boconos and Sinister Owl.
What a drive already from Sniper Pig. Only 8 laps into this race, and he's already up into P9 in a points-paying position. Pecan once again wheel to wheel with Kimi. Kimi goes a little bit wide in turn 5, and that'll allow Pecan to take P1 once again. Sinister and Boconos battling again, and Sniper Pig takes advantage as Vortex gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. As he is spun, he has gone off the racetrack at turn number 6. So a huge disappointment for him as he goes from a good pace well inside of the points to now out of the points in P11.
Extremely impressed with Sniper Pig. Like, from P19 all the way to P7 within 9 laps. And looking for that P6 position.
Sorry for interrupting, but Pecan and Kimi once again are battling. Kimi goes up the inside once again at turn 3. There's a little bit of contact. I don't believe anybody had any front wing damage out of that, but they had a little bit of a contact train there.
And Bossman going for a pass on TTV.
Looks like Bossman will be sending it up the inside. He will lick the stamp and send it. Let's see if TTV will have anything for him. TTV will have the inside line for turn 6, but Bossman pulls ahead, and Bossman will take that final podium position away from TTV right now.
Sniper Pig moved up to 6th position while that was going on.
So Sniper Pig already he's definitely going to be catching this battle for the lead soon. As long as these drivers keep battling each other this hard, it's going to allow more drivers into the mix here.
This may be the best battle for the lead we've seen so far this season.
I could not agree with you more. So here we have Pecan once again on point. Kimi will be looking to the inside once again, going up into turn 3. Will he be close enough this time to be able to get the move done? There's a little bit of contact. There's a little bit of contact, but Kimi allows Pecan to keep in the lead, and they're side by side once again as Kimi has the DRS, but will be pulling in behind Pecan. There was just a little bit of contact going into the apex. It looked like Kimi was turning into the apex, and Pecan just turned in just a little too sharp.
Real Space Hero just moved up to P8. Impulse has moved up to P15. CKT just went wide in front of Impulse, so he might be able to move up to P14.
As Boconos goes a little bit wide in turn 6, so he will lose out to Sinister and Space. So Boconos will be down into P9.
Great run for the 2 Red Bull cars. Sniper Pig and Real Space here are both in the points in P6 and P7.
Sniper Pig will be looking to make an overtake stick here on Get That Money and Run. Get That Money and Run swoops back to the racing line to be able to take the apex correctly there. We have a 3-way battle for the lead here as Bossman looks up the inside of Kimi. They will be wheel to wheel on the exit here. Both of them will have DRS on Pecan, so it's whichever one will have that slipstream and has a little bit more ERS It looks like Bossman has more ERS as he pulls into P2. Kimmy isn't giving up without a fight, though. He lunges it in, trying to keep that position, but just doesn't quite have the grip to be able to go around the outside of Bossman. And Bossman will be promoted up to P2 here on lap 11 of the GP.
Sniper Pig moved up to P5. He has gone from P19 to the top 5 in 11 laps. Incredible drive.
Very, very great drive already from Sniper Pig. He'll definitely be looking to get on the podium now, as these 4 drivers here in the top 4 are still battling it away. Sniper Pig is 6 seconds behind this group, so as long as they keep battling each other and slowing each other down, Sniper Pig might be able to get in this battle. They might just drag that money and run with him, as get that money and run is in the DRS. If these 2 drivers work together and swap DRS, that could be really good for their race. It's Pecan and Bossman. Bossman sends it up the inside, going to turn 3, pushes Pecan a little bit wide. Pecan comes back onto the circuit, and Bossman will have the lead here of this Austrian GP for the first time.
Bossman having an incredible race today. He hasn't had the best luck throughout the season, but he's showing that he's got the pace.
Bokanos gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for corner cutting. And Sinister and Bokanos are side by side here. Bokanos looks like he'll be taking the position away from Sinister. Yes, he does. So he'll put himself back up into P8 after that mistake. Vortex and Made side by side. Vortex takes P10 for that final points paying position. Wow, my voice already hurts, and we're not even a.
Oh, Sniper Pig spins!
Sniper Pig spins it at turn 9. He'll have to be able to rejoin the track safely here. He might even opt to go into the pit lane.
He can't get it turned around. Oh my God!
He gets hit by Vortex in the pit lane, and Vortex will be out of this race. He has broken his suspension. And Sniper Pig gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings and a 5-second time penalty for the collision. As Pecan drops all the way down into P4. Pecan made some sort of mistake there. So Pecan down into P4. I don't know if there was contact or what, but he loses out here. Kimmy gets overtaken by TTV. So TTV is up into P2 and Kimmy into P3. So that's domination rotation in the top 4. And that has allowed Get That Money and Run to be within 3 seconds of that leading group.
A little bit of drama after that collision with Sniper Pig. That'll probably be reviewed after the race. Kimmy is in the pits for the first person in the pit rotation.
Let's see what Kimmy puts on here. Let's see if he'll go opt for the medium compound tire or the hards. This will definitely dictate what his strategy will be. It looks like he's going on to the hard compound tire, and he's getting a front wing change as well. So him and Pecan must have made a little bit of contact at some point, and that might have been why Pecan got so far behind. So Kimmy will lose quite a bit of time here, quite a few seconds. He might even drop down into net P4 or P5 here.
So...
Wow, what a race. We have the 2 racing points side by side at turn 3. Looks like Made gets the move done on Drew Yu, but Drew Yu will have the DRS for the next straight. So Drew Yu will be looking to get that position back here going into turn 4. They'll be side by side. They're fighting over P8 here. Made goes a little bit wide, so Drew Yu takes the position back. Drew Yu and Made having a good little inter-team battle here for P8.
TTV drops it into the pits.
Importantly, Bossman and Pecan stay out on track, so TTV also had front wing damage, so he'll be in and he'll be swapping out his front wing, and he goes onto a set of medium compound tires. So we'll see if those tires can last to the end of the race, or if he'll be doing a 2-stop today. As TTV comes out right behind Kimmy here, as they both had that front wing change. So Kimmy actually jumps TTV because of the undercut. So Kimmy goes back into a net P3 here.
So
as Space and Bokonos are side by side. Space trying to get that P4 away from Bokonos.
It's an interesting strategy for those that went on to the hards, because they lasted about 15 laps on the softs, which it's interesting to me that they would want to go over to the hardest compound tire when they're almost halfway through the race already. I feel like the mediums probably would last.
The top 3 drivers will be going into the pit lane now. Top 4 is Bossman, on Get That Money and Run in Space are all heading off into the pit lane, as well as Sinister. This seems like the lap 15 seems to be the preferable time to pit, as Bokonos stays out on his medium compound tires. Drew Yu will be up into P4, make it P3 as he gets out right in front of Pecan. Pecan won't be too happy that he came out right behind some traffic here. I mean, crucially, he comes out right in front of Kimmy. So Pecan holds on to his net P2, so Kimmy will be in net P3 here. Bossman, let's see how his end lap is. Maybe he'll can sustain the lead, or he might get undercut.
TTV actually, making the move on Kimmy.
Bossman already made the pit. My bad. TTV looks down the inside of Kimmy, and it looks like he will be taking that position. So Kimmy, not quite sure what the Williams strategy is here, as he is on a worse tire compound. Maybe he's looking for those medium tires to fall off at the end of the race, and maybe he'll have the advantage later on in the race here, around laps 30 to 36.
Bossman looking to gain some time on Bokonos before Bokonos has to pit.
Bossman has already eked out a 1.5 seconds on Bokonos in his first lap out. So Bokonos is definitely struggling on those 16-lap-old tires. So, I mean, a 2-stop might be the way to go here, in all honesty, as TTV and Drew Yu have a little bit of a battle. TTV gets in front of Drew Yu, who's yet to pit on 16-lap-old mediums. It looks like Kimmy will be trying to get by him as quick as possible. Kimmy looks to the outside. He's going to cut back and go to the inside for turn 4, and Drew Yu doesn't put up very much of a fight. He knows this isn't the race he's in. He's in a different race right now against his teammate.
Bossman down to 0.6 behind Bokonos already.
So Bossman will be looking to get by Bokonos as quick as possible to try not to get held up very much. CKT, it looks like he has spun out at turn 1. So CKT, unfortunate for him, falls down in P17 as Bokonos peels off into the pit lane after only 16 laps on those medium tires. So clearly those tires fell off, so it might have been a good strategy from Kimmy here, as it looks like Bokonos goes onto the hard tires here for his second stint and probably his last stint. As Get That Money and Run goes up the inside of Drew Yu. They're side by side coming out of turn 1. Drew Yu holds the position for now, but Get That Money and Run will have that DRS, and he'll pull far ahead of Drew Yu going into turn 3.
So this does mean Bossman takes back the lead of the Grand Prix and does have a 4.1 second gap to Pecan.
It looks like CKT is off the track here and at turn 4, right where the leaders are, so hopefully he doesn't get back onto the track and he safely rejoins here. So that's very good that he follows all league rules here and safely rejoins and doesn't get in anybody's way.
Looking to make a pass on Masashiro for the points position again.
There are a few drivers who are yet to pit, including Drew Yu, Spyro, and Masa in the top 10. There's a yellow flag in sectors 2 and 3. I believe that's CKT once again, so his tires are basically shot, it looks like.
No, he is on 4. He's on 4-lap-old hards. They shouldn't be that bad currently, but maybe he's having problems with the debris from going off.
It looks like CKT will be coming into the pit lane. He probably had so much debris on his tires that he overheated them. And looks like Bokonos will be pulling over to the left-hand side to cruise right by Spyro, who's still yet to pit. So Spyro is in the points-paying positions right now. And like he said, he'll be praying for a safety car. And with all the battling going on, that might just happen.
Bossman is definitely one man that does not want a safety car right now.
If the safety car does come out, Boss Man will be furious underneath that helmet. That visor will turn red from how pissed off he will be that the safety car did come out, as he has a 3-second buffer to Pecan and P2.
Yeah, Pecan is slowly gaining, but we saw the way they were racing. It was really hard for anybody to get by Bossman, so...
Absolutely. Bossman will defend this position like no else. If anybody catches him, he will defend it for his life.
There was a great saying that one of my friends told me, and I've lived by it. Catching and passing are two very different things in racing.
Absolutely. And this is a quote that I've lived by, and so did one of my favorite actors in all of movies. If you ain't first, you're last. And right now, Bossman is first. So therefore, he ain't last. That's my motto. If you ain't first, you're last. As it looks like the field has been a little strung out here after the first pit stop period. We still have a few drivers out there on those medium tires they started on, including Drew Yu, Spyro, and Massa. So let's see how far they can go and what their pace looks like as Drew Yu continues on to start his 20th lap on those tires. Which actually, I believe those drivers came in because Drew Yu's tires is only 20 laps old. I guess this is lap 21, so they just finished 20. Never mind, disregard.
All right. The grid's kind of getting a little spread out now. Our closest battle in the top 10 is Drew Yu and Real Space Hero.
So let's see. All drivers have made a pit
Real
stop.
Space Hero goes for the pass, but Drew Yu will get it back.
Drew Yu makes the cutback. Drew Yu makes the cutback. They'll be side by side going through the middle sector here. Drew Yu will be on the outside. It's going to be tough for him to hold on to this position. They're wheel to wheel, very close to each other here as they go through the second left-hander. They make just a slight bit of contact there, and Drew Yu gets washed out, and Real Space Hero takes V6. Gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings for corner cutting or for track extending 1. As Drew Yu peels off to the pit lane, so he lasted 21 laps on those tires, so that'll be good to know for the rest of these drivers here in this race. See if any of the other medium tire runners are going to pit. Spyro does not peel into the pit lane, and neither does Massa, so they're starting their 21st lap. Let's see how far they can go.
So currently, Spyro is actually the leader in the passes, the overtakes this session, with 9. That will change after the pit rotation, but Sniper Pig has currently made 8 overtakes throughout this race.
Yes, Sniper Pig is going to be clawing right back through this field once again. He's going to be trying to get back up into that top 5 so he can get some good points, because he doesn't want Pecan to get too many points on him here. Remember, they're only 2 or 3 points apart here in the championship. So this is a very close championship between those two drivers.
Yes. Anywhere out of the points for Snipper Pig would be detrimental to his season.
As it looks like Sinister will be looking up the inside of Spyro, and Spyro defends around the outside pretty well here. They're still side by side, but Sinister will have that DRS. Sinister opens up his DRS flap. Let's see what can happen here, as we have a 3-way battle for P10 as well. So Sinister pulls back in behind Spyro, so Sinister didn't quite have the straight line speed there. He might not have had as much ERS. So Sinister will want to get by Spyro here as quick as possible, because Spyro is on those ailing medium tires.
Snipper Pig makes 3 positions up in 1 corner.
Sniper Pig, now in the points, has a solid point for this Red Bull team, but he's going to be looking to get more positions here. He's in a net P9 after Spyro makes his pit stop. So 2 points are on the cards for him right now. He has 8 seconds behind Sinister Owl, who is looking up the inside of Spyro. He is desperate to get this position on Spyro here as they come out of the final corner. See what he can do. He's going to pull out of that slipstream going into the first corner. This is a replay of last lap, except Sinister. Looks like he gets the move done here. Spyro didn't quite have the straight line speed there to contend with, as we have
somebody is in the
battle
wall
here.
That is CKT out of turn 3 is in the inside wall.
So update on the top 5. Get That Money and Run just got an overtake done on Kimmy for P4. So Get That Money and Run is up to P4 for McLaren. So even though Greco's not here, McLaren still might get a good haul of points here.
CKT is back on his way, but he has very bad front wing damage.
I wouldn't be surprised if he peels off into the pit lane once again to make yet another pit stop for a new front wing. As Kimmy and Get That Money and Run are still battling over P4 here. Looks like Kimmy will have the DRS here. He'll be in the outside of turn 3, and it looks like he gets him cleared before the corner, so Kimmy will have P4 here as Get That Money and Run outbreaks himself just a little bit. Goes a little bit wide. Let's see if Get That Money and Run can come back at Kimmy here. He's going to look to the inside for the corner. He's going to go for it. He's going to go for the move down into turn 4. Will he clear him? Yes, he will. So Get That Money and Run holds on to that P4 position as Spyro peels off into the pit lane after 24 laps. So it looks like these drivers on the mediums will be very close, but it looks like their tires will still be okay by the end of this race.
So Pecan has gained about a half a second in the last 5 laps. He's going to have to push a little harder to be able to gain that lead before the end of the race.
And he's going to have to push very hard with TTV right behind him. It looks like TTV is just saving on ERS now, and Pecan's slipstream and DRS.
Kimmy goes for another pass and Get That Money and Run into turn 3, and he does get
Kimmy
it done.
Gets the overtake done. See if Kimmy can come back on, or Get That Money and Run can come back on Kimmy. Get That Money and Run will be looking to the inside once again for turn 4. They'll be side by side going into the corner, and they'll still be side by side on exit, and they make contact. Both of them go into the gravel trap there as Kimmy is pushed a little bit wide by Get That Money and Run after the contact. So Get That Money and Run retains P4. It might get looked at by the stewards for running Kimmy out of room there into the gravel.
We do have an interesting update. Spyro has pit and he is on the softs now. So
I will say the lead runners did get those. The lead runners got those softs to go around 11, 12, 13 laps. So that's a good strategy.
Actually, there was a couple that ran them all the way to 15 laps. So
that's definitely a good strategy call.
This mid top 10 might be shaping up to be interesting, and CKT gets disqualified.
Yep, so his miserable race comes to a close here as the lap car of I'm not sure who that was that just let all those drivers through. As Spyro puts in the fastest lap of the race there with a 107.7. That must be a really good confidence booster for him. So he'll be looking to make up that 8.5 second margin to Drew Yu in that final points paying position, but Drew is also on those soft compound tires.
Drew Yu is also, his tires are also 3 laps older than Spyro.
Pecan spins at turn 9. Pecan makes a mistake, and he gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So Pecan spins out of P2, and TTV takes away P2 from Pecan. So the Ferraris switch positions, but most importantly, because of that mistake from Get That Money and Run, Kimmy and Get That Money and Run, and there's a safety car.
Oh,
there was a safety car for that.
The drama.
And Spyro gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, or under the safety car. So quite a few drivers are going to be looking to get a free pit stop here as we have Space and Bokonos coming into the pit lane now. Space comes back out on a set of medium tires, and he won't lose any positions. So that's a great strategy call there from Red Bull.
Bossman has to be so devastated right now with this safety car.
Bossman had such a great margin. He was holding on to that 3 to 4 second margin that entire stint. He was looking to have this race in the bag, but the safety car will bring everybody back together. Not quite sure what it was for. Maybe it came out just because of Peacon's spin. He was sitting in front of the pit lane, but quite a few other drivers have spun there and sat in front of the pit lane, and we haven't had a safety car yet.
Yeah, there was actually contact in front of the pit lane with Vortex and Sniper Pig, and there was no safety car then, so.
Not quite sure whether safety cars came out, but get that money and run peels off into the pit lane for a new set of medium tires. It looks like he has the margin on Sinister, so he'll just drop down to P5. So a great strategy call there. As Space gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So Space's work here all the way into P7 will be undone. As Space Hero will have to make a drive-through, take a drive-through here. And this points position here for Red Bull will go right out the window. As well as that strategy. As Spyro and Massa have a collision, and Spyro gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision, and Spyro intentionally wrecks Massa, so Spyro clearly angry with Massa for some reason. Spyro will have a severe penalty for this. Not quite sure what instigated this out of these two drivers, but this is not good. Having this sort of thing in the league is not something we like, and we very much frown upon it. Hopefully this doesn't continue throughout the entire safety car.
That will 100... Oh my god!
Spyro, definitely. And Spyro and Massa are both going to be retired from the session, as both of them have broken their suspension off. So Spyro, for some reason...
100% be reviewed by the stewards later.
Spyro, for some reason, was not very happy with Massa, and, well, things boiled over, and here we are. So the safety car will be prolonged just a little bit to get those two cars off of the track. They are in a pretty precarious position in that runoff area of turn 1.
There are the drama in these last 10 laps.
There are 6 laps to go here, and we will have yet another, at least one more lap under the safety car. So 6 more laps, 5 more laps to go, most likely, whenever the safety car comes into the pit lane. So I'm not quite sure if the advantage would be to get that money and run with this fresh medium tires, or if it'll be to the drivers out front with the track position. But I will say Bossman is in a terrible spot right now, as he is in P1, and the safety car will be in this lap, so they'll have six laps to duke it out here, as Bossman will be backing up the pack. And Space gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Drew Yu under the safety car. So field, and he will be taking off here in the final corner, and there he goes. So Bossman gets a good drive out of the final corner. TTV will be defending hard against his teammate, but Pecan will be defending even harder against Kimmy as they stay in form there going into turn 1. See if there's any overtakes happening in the midfield. Bokonos goes very wide there, so does the other Mercedes, I believe, of Duck. It was either Duck or Impulse. I'm not quite sure. Let's get that money and run. Goes all the way up into P3. He outbrakes himself. So get that money and run.
Going for
P4.
the pass on get that money and run.
Get that money and run has fresh tires, so he'll have a huge advantage over these drivers here in this top 5. So he'll have a huge advantage in the corners He'll be looking to make up as many positions as possible. He's right on the diffuser of Pecan. He looks to the inside, but doesn't quite want to make a move stick as Pecan leaves the door open. He looks once again to the inside, but he stays right behind him. So get that money and run. We'll have to keep an eye on him here in the closing stages with those fresh tires. He looks to the inside once again going into turn 9. He'll try to make this move stick in turn 9. Not exactly the turn that we always look for overtakes at. Pecan goes very wide, and Pecan holds on to that P3.
Oh.
They're fighting like crazy for this podium position.
Bossman just trying to take advantage of that to gain any sort of lead.
DRS will not be enabled until next lap, so all these drivers don't have DRS to aid them. And Bossman will be looking to try to get out this 1 second gap to TTV behind him, but TTV is not going to just go away. TTV is only 2/10 behind. He will be gaining. He's looking to the outside, but is just not quite close enough. Get that money and run. And Kimmy very close together, as well as Pecan. This battle for the final podium position will be very close. We have quite a few battles here in the midfield for these final points-paying positions. Bokonos and Sniper Pig side by side, going through turn 6 and into turn 7. Bokonos trying to hang it all the way around the outside of Sniper Pig with this fresh set of soft tires.
Sniper Pig has a very old
still side by side.
Hards.
As Bokonos takes away P8 from Sniper Pig. And Space Hero pulls into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty. DRS is now enabled. Get that money and run. Will be looking to make this overtake on Pecan, and Kimmy might even get it done on Pecan as well here on this straight. Get that money and run. Pulls to the outside. Kimmy closes DRS. It looks like he'll be staying behind. He opens it back up, and let's see what Get That Money and Run can do. He looks like he goes around the outside, but he overdrives the corner just a little bit, and Pecan will have this DRS, so Kimmy might have the advantage on Get That Money and Run here. It's the Impulse. It's 5 second time penalty for a severe collision with Dahl. Those two drivers were battling it out for I believe, one of the final points-paying positions. So
no, they were battling
money and
for
run side by
11th,
side once again in the middle sector. So Get That Money and Run holds on to that P4 as Made gets another time penalty for multiple warnings. So a lot of corner cutting going on here. These drivers are really struggling to keep it in the boundaries of the track as Bossman is holding on to that 5/10 advantage he has on TTV. TTV might just be holding back a little bit for a late charge here in the closing laps.
Drama with the Spyro and Masashiro incident. Definitely going to be reviewed.
That definitely will be reviewed for sure. As it looks like Kimmy gets the overtake done and Get That Money and Run, so Kimmy will be promoted back up into B4. Get That Money and Run will be looking to the inside once again going into turn 4. Get That Money and Run will be trying to get this position back. Let's see if he has enough car alongside to get a good exit. He gets a better exit than Kimmy on Kimmy's old sauce. Or Kimmy's old hard tires. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside in turn 6 as Kimmy spins. Kimmy spins in turn 6 off the inside. So Kimmy drops all the way down to P9. Very unfortunate for Kimmy there as he's on those 20-lap old hards. So his tires are definitely falling off here in the closing stages of this race. Not sure if there was contact between those two drivers, but that's very unfortunate for the Williams driver there, Kimmy.
Bossman and TTV, only 0.3 separate them coming into the last 2 laps.
TTV will be closing right up on the back. Get That Money and Run is also right on the back of Pecan. Get That Money and Run will be going to the outside of Pecan for this final podium position. Let's see if he can get this move to stick. Pecan drives it in there, and Pecan hits Get That Money and Run in the side pod and takes the position back. So a little bit of rowdy driving there from Pecan. Grants him another P3, grants him back into P3, but that'll be looked at by the stewards for causing a collision there. As Duck and Sniper Pig battling it out for P5 here. Duck on a fresh set of soft compound tires, and Duck and Sniper Pig make a little bit of contact there in turn 6. So Duck takes away that P5 position with a bump and run move.
Drama in these closing laps. People fighting for position.
They've now started the final lap of this GP. TTV and Bossman battling it out for P1. Get that money and run. Pecan battling it out for P3. Let's see if these battles can continue on. Bossman has a 5/10 advantage over TTV as Kimmy gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting.
Get that money and run goes for the pass on into turn 3.
Gets the overtake done and get that money and run will be up into P3, but Pecan will have crucially the DRS here for this straight. Let's see if Pecan can get back at him going into turn 4. So there's yet another yellow flag as Pecan tries to go around the outside of get that money and run, but it doesn't look like it'll stick as get that money and run might just hold on to P3 here.
TTV slightly closing in on Bossman. There's only 2 turns left in this Grand Prix.
As Dollar retires from the session on the final lap of this GP here in Austria.
And Bossman will take the win at Austria.
Bossman comes across the line in P1, TTV P2. Get that money and run. Pecan, Duck, Sniper Pig, Sinister Owl. But he has a 5-second time penalty for an unserved penalty. So Kimmy gets promoted up into P7, Sinister P8, Bokanos in P9. Space Hero will come across the line in P10. He also has a 5-second time penalty. But Impulse is just a little bit too far back to capitalize on that. So Impulse will come across the line in P7, Made P12, and Drew Yu. Rounding out the finishers here in P13.
What a race.
That was incredible. What a great race there from all these drivers. That was so hectic at the end of the race.
Bossman has to be incredibly happy with that result, especially after the uncertainty with that safety car.
That is definitely a podium that we did not predict. There's a Ferrari on the podium, but I believe that's the only thing that I got right was TTV and P2.
Same here.
Got TTV and P2, but most importantly, Bossman is on the top step of that podium for the first time, I believe, here in this UDL league in the F1 series. So
a lot of penalties this week.
Tons of corner cutting penalties as Bokanos leaves the session. He's definitely not very happy with that result. So he had quite a few different incidents sprinkled throughout this race.
Incredible race tonight.
What a race. That was unbelievable. So to recap the finishing order, Bossman gets his first win here in the UDL F1 series for Renault. I believe that's Renault's first win as well. So he comes across the line the winner, and he will have maximum points, I believe, unless the fastest lap was still retained by... Yes, Spyro still did retain fastest lap, so Bossman won't get that extra point, but he will still have 25 points coming out of this race. TTV comes home in P2. Get that money and run. P3, Pecan in P4. Duck, a great drive from Duck to get up into P5, and Sniper Pig as well. A great drive from him from P19 on the grid all the way up to P6. Kimmy, unfortunate drive for him, drops from P3 on the grid to P7. Sinister Owl drops down to P8 in the finishing order. Bokanos up to P9 in space. Rounds out the top 10 in the points paying positions. P10.
I have to say, in my opinion, Bossman has a really good chance for drive of the day. That was a great move through the field, and he held his position in first for a very long time, so I'm very impressed.
He came from P7 on the grid to win this GP.
Very impressive.
All right, everybody. This has been the UDL League F1 GP Round 9 of this championship here at the Austrian GP at the Red Bull Ring. We've been your commentators, Mr. Damage and Jonathan. And we'll see you all in the next race.
Have a great night, everyone. Bye.